The authors of the op-ed go on to write, quote, the potential for a total breakdown of the chain of command along partisan lines from the top of the chain to the squad level is significant should another insurrection occur.
All right. We've got a new op-ed from 3 retired generals saying, watch out, there might be a coup coming inside the United States, inside the U.S. military. It is incredible. It is a very stark and clear warning. You're not getting it. There are people inside the military that would be mutineers and not listen to the legitimate president of the United States.
The oath to the Constitution and the notion that this is not what the armed forces should ever do, is to interfere in an election, that held. I think your concern, though, is that could be eroded with sustained attempts by the ex-president and his sort of facilitators to eat into that belief, at least among folks that are in the armed forces, which of course is 1.5 million people or whatever.
Indeed, there is an active movement right now on the part of the GOP to infect the armed forces of the United States with doubt that the election process is just not what we expect it to be, to insert doubt that we are conducting fair and elegantly delivered elections.
So it's Paul Eaton, a retired U.S. Army Major General, Antonio Taguba, Army Major General, Stephen M. Anderson, a retired Brigadier General. So they're all retired. They're all very high-level generals in the United States military. And I'm going to read at length some of their warnings. In the beginning, they summarized by saying, in short, we are chilled to our bones at the thought of a coup succeeding next time. So they think it's very real and that we need to take steps to prevent it. So they give one specific example, which is definitely chilling. They say recently, and perhaps more worrying, Brigadier General Thomas Mancino, the commanding general of the Oklahoma National Guard, refused an order from President Biden mandating that all National Guard members be vaccinated against the coronavirus. So there we have it already. So it is not disputable whether you have to listen to the commander-in-chief. That's why he's the commander-in-chief. That's the president of the United States of America. That is not in dispute. So you don't get to say, hey, you know what? But I didn't like his order. I want to listen to someone else. The National Guard is national. But that Brigadier General now in kind of a mutiny situation saying, no, I'm going to listen to the Republican governor of Oklahoma instead. Which really has almost nothing to do with the National Guard. The National Guard are federal troops. There is no question about it. But now, to the point of the 3 generals that wrote this op-ed, now there is a question as to whether they will follow orders or they will start to do break-off factions of the military. This is of the U.S. military. This is incredibly dangerous. The creeping fascism is here. And to the point that the generals are making, we're kind of whistling past the graveyard here, thinking, yeah, they're not listening to orders anymore in the military, and they might do factions and maybe a coup. But, what are we getting alarmed about? They're like, yes, you should be alarmed, really, really alarmed, as they are. So they continue. The potential for a total breakdown of the chain of command along partisan lines from the top of the chain to squad level is significant should another insurrection occur. The idea of rogue units organizing among themselves to support the rightful commander-in-chief cannot be dismissed. So Trump started this by saying, I didn't lose, even though the states clearly said, including the red states like Georgia, Arizona, etc., saying, no, he did lose. Republican officials in those states. And then they did audit after audit. And then they lost 60 court cases. He definitely lost. And in fact, in those 60 court cases, he has never presented any evidence that has gotten any traction at all completely not credible, including by Trump-appointed judges saying you have not presented any evidence. But nonetheless, there are members of the military who are now beginning to go rogue and saying, well, I wanted him to win. So, and he says he's the rightful president. So maybe I'll start listening to him instead. Well, that's how you get to civil war, when there are 2 branches of the United States military and they don't agree. And what happens when they point guns at one another? The generals are right. Impending disaster. There's an iceberg right in front of the Pentagon. And if they don't see it, they're going to run right into it. All right. Now they continue. Imagine competing commanders in chief and newly reelected Biden giving orders versus Trump or another Trumpian figure. Issuing orders as the head of a shadow government. Worse, imagine politicians at the state and federal levels illegally installing a losing candidate as president. Guys, these are not like outsiders or radicals or progressives that are saying these. These are top generals in the U.S. military that are retired saying, yeah, we could have rogue units. We might have a shadow president issuing different orders and different parts of the military listening to different so-called presidents. Insanity. They're going to get to some of the consequences of that in a second. But by the way, this is important for you right-wingers out there. Okay, what if Trump or a Trumpian figure wins and the Democrat goes, well, I'm now doing the same thing as Trump. Okay, I won. Okay, and I'm going to get this in state to change their electors. And by the way, under the same logic as Trump, if Mike Pence can decide the election single-handedly by not certifying the election, Kamala Harris could do the same thing. And then what if some portions of the military start following Biden when he lost the election, the next election? Are you going to be happy about that? You should be furious about that, right? But you know, right-wingers, they'll be like, no, if we win, we get to do if we lose, we get to do the coup. But if we win, you don't get to do the coup. Like, I don't want either side doing a coup. I'm super clear on that because I love America, unlike right-wingers who say, but when we lose an election, why don't we just cry more and then try to do a military coup like we're some tin pot dictatorship. So that's definitely what they tried next time. But for you right-wingers out there, you don't know who's going to do. You have all these conspiracy theories about how the Democrats are so evil. My theory is Democrats are grotesquely incompetent. And I think you actually know that. That's why you think this possibility of a coup is not such a bad idea, because you know the Democrats would actually never do it. And the only people who would actually consider doing violence and a coup against America and democracy are Republicans. You all know that if you're right-wingers. But if you're pretending you don't know that, and you think, the Democrats, they're so authoritarian. Just Tucker Carlson told me they're going to make me drink Starbucks every day. They're trying to control my lives. I'm not going to let those jackbooted government tyrants, do this and try to steal an election. Well, then you should agree with us. They should do a military review right now and make sure that no one, no matter who wins or loses, Democrat or Republican, no one breaks ranks and ignores the chain of command, because the military fighting within itself is worse than either side winning any political outcome. Can I get the right wing to agree to the bare minimum now? My guess is no. No, they'll find an excuse. Now, well, I know, but I think Trump won. And next time I think Trump will win no matter what. And I get to do a coup because I love violence. That's my guess as to their actual thoughts, okay? But they could prove me wrong and say, hell yeah, let's all unite and put pressure on the military to do a review right now to make sure the chain of command is never broken. Okay, let's see. Good luck with that. All right, so now they continue. They say all service members take an oath to protect the U.S. Constitution, but in a contested election with loyalty split, some might follow orders from the rightful commander-in-chief, while others might follow Trump, the Trumpian loser. Again, it doesn't have to be Trump, and it doesn't even have to be Republican. It just has to be a sore loser who says, I don't care. I want to pretend that I won on either side. And they continue. Arms might not be secured depending on who is overseeing them. Under such a scenario, it is not outlandish to say a military breakdown could lead to civil war. But wait, it gets worse. They say, in this context, with our military hobbled and divided, U.S. security would be crippled. Any of our enemies could take advantage by launching an all-out assault on our assets and our allies. Now, look, it's a nightmare scenario. I think that is unlikely. But if you have the U.S. military turning guns on one another, and God forbid start to shoot one another in America without either side knowing, or with one side and all of reality knowing who won, and the other side saying, Democrat or Republican, no, we didn't lose. Who cares? Let's just use our guys in the military to lead a coup, right? Well, in that case, yes, the U.S. would be more vulnerable from a national security perspective than it has ever been. Ever. Now, do I think Russia will launch an all-out nuclear assault? Of course not. I don't think that, right? But could things happen around the edges that the U.S. military couldn't respond to? Definitely. Could they be way beyond the edges? Russia goes, oh, nobody's minding the store. They're literally fighting themselves. Ukraine, you're now mine. China says, Taiwan, you're now mine. What would we do? We wouldn't do anything. I mean, Russia could roll through several countries, or anyone else. It doesn't have to be Russia. China could roll through several countries before the U.S. military even figures out who's in charge, with a bunch of brats going, yeah, my guy won. I don't like the chain of command. No, it's the U.S. military. You have to crack down on that right now. So they're not done yet. They say the lack of military preparedness for the aftermath of the 2020 election was striking and worrying. Trump's acting defense secretary, Christopher C. Miller, testified that he deliberately withheld military protection of the Capitol before January 6th. Isn't that unbelievable? The defense secretary telling the military, do not protect the Capitol. That's the coup that already happened, the attempted coup in 2020, where Trump wanted to use the military, even considered. Mike Flynn came in, they had a discussion for 3 hours. After they lost, well after they lost, and after they lost the court cases, they considered doing a military rule scenario where the military would then be put in charge, democracy would be ended, and then they would have a sham election run by the military. That was the coup they were already planning, and everyone, to the credit of, be fair and do real news, to the credit of Trump's administration. How's that for funny? For Trump's administration, Trump's White House, everyone else in the rooms told Trump, if you do that, we're all going to resign. You can't do a coup against America. But they were debating it. And they barely talked Trump out of it. And even so, his defense secretary is like, do not protect the Capitol. That's insane. Now, they also say Army General Mark A. Milley, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, reportedly scrambled to ensure the nation's nuclear defense chains were secure from illegal orders. It is evident the whole of our military was caught off guard. Now, what if Trump, the rightful president, says to launch or not launch, and the shadow president says to launch or not launch? Then what are we going to do? Total insanity.